After the fall of the Berlin Wall in the 90s and her parents' divorce, a girl moves in with her boyfriend on his family's farm. However, her encounter with an older yet attractive farmer next door leads her to commit a forbidden affair with him. On a warm day in summer, Maria, alongside the Brendels, is engrossed in raking the hay when she hears the dog's blaring barks from the farm nearby. The whole family also hears this, leading Siegfried to gossip about the dog's owner, Henner. For him, Henner's a good rancher despite his elusive personality. Maria teases that he's also good at handling women, earning Siegfried's disapproval. Later that day, the family receives a letter from Hartmut, Siegfried's brother, informing them that he'll visit them since the war has ended. Though it signals the family's reunion, Alfred, the patriarch, isn't enthusiastic and quickly leaves. His odd behavior intrigues Maria, so she asks her boyfriend, Johannes, about the possible reason why. Johannes hypothesizes that Alfred is not Hartmut's father but Volker's, Frieda's eldest son. When Hartmut left to stay in West Germany, Siegfried acquired the farm. Now all of a sudden, the reputed favorite son returns. After explaining, Johannes kisses Maria and reminds her to attend school with him. Maria absent-mindedly agrees as Johannes' seduction is irresistible to her, leading them to make love. Throughout the days that Maria has stayed with the Brendels, Maria refuses to attend school, is lousy at household chores, and mostly spends her day reading Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. As a result, she is the subject of criticism among the family members. This is evident when Henner visits the Brendels' produce store and inquires Maria if Maria is still with him. Maria confirms but can't stop criticizing the girls' passiveness on their farm. Upon hearing that, Henner amusingly opines that if they send Maria into the stables, she'll just leave still immersed in her book. This time, Maria gently chastises Henner for his words, reminding him that he is also a bibliophile, causing him to neglect his farm. Unbeknownst to the pair, Maria has overheard their conversation, so she confronts them. Henner is unfazed by her sudden presence and even calls her cheeky. One day, Maria accompanies Johannes to Munich, hoping it'll be a date. However, after strolling around the city, Johannes tells Maria to wait for him at their table. After long hours of waiting, Johannes finally appears, carrying an item he bought. It turns out to be an expensive camera he'll use to pursue his dream of being a photographer. Contrary to his excitement, Maria displays disinterest in her boyfriend's ambitions. The following day, Maria takes a different route home and Henner's dogs ambush her. Thankfully, Hen quickly intervenes, so Maria lets herself slump down to the ground and breathe. Henner approaches her and assures her that his dogs won't harm her. Once he helps her gain her ground, Hen can't control himself and slowly touches Maria's body. Now uneasy, Maria untangles herself from his grip, but Henner grabs her and apologizes for his behavior. Maria doesn't respond to this and abruptly leaves. Back in their room, Maria jumps to the bed and contemplates what has transpired earlier. Later that day, Johannes takes Maria to his dark room and proudly showcases his work. He then reveals that he wants to pursue art so they can leave their rural town. Again, Maria doesn't share his enthusiasm as she's not interested in leaving. The next day, Maria visits her grandmother's residence, hoping to talk to her depressive mother, Hannah. She finds Hannah lounging in their backyard and the woman greets her. Curious about how Maria's been, Hannah checks on her. Maria tells her that the Brendels are taking good care of her, but she sadly admits that she's been skipping school and might not take the final examination. Since she's been unemployed, Hannah tells her she feels pressured. She informs Maria that her father doesn't pay alimony. Therefore, Hannah hopes that Maria can at least take vocational training. Instead of answering, Maria asks if she's heard from her father, and Hannah confirms. She reveals that Maria's father will marry a woman in her early 20s. This doesn't sit well with Maria, so she bids Hannah goodbye, but before she can leave, Hannah volunteers to drive her home. On their way to the Brendels, Hannah unintentionally removes the key while the car's engine is still running. As a result, the steering wheel locks, leading to an accident. Thankfully, the pair are unscathed, but the accident leaves them shaken. Suddenly, Maria hears the dogs bark, signaling Hannah's presence. Immediately, Hannah initiates pushing the car back to the road. He visibly struggles to do it, so Hannah proceeds to help him. Once the car's back on the road, Hannah retrieves Maria's belongings from her trunk and just drops them in front of her. Without saying goodbye, Hannah drives away. Left with Hannah, Maria begins to traverse the isolated road home. Before she can continue, she can't stop herself from thinking about him, so she follows Han to his farm. Upon arriving at the elusive man's residence, Han leads Maria to his bedroom and the girl begins to disrobe. Shortly after, Han's having his way with her when he abruptly stops as his conscience haunts him. He orders her to leave, but Maria doesn't comply. Instead, she initiates peppering his back with kisses, causing him to lose his control and make love to her. The next morning, Maria bids to start her day when she notices Han has left marks on her. Because of this, she searches her wardrobe to find an attire that can conceal them. While she dresses up, she discovers an envelope hidden in her clothes. She opens it and realizes the letter contains an excerpt Han has written about a man who longs for a girl and finally possesses her. Moments later, Hartmut and his family arrive at the Brendels farm, causing an emotional reunion among the family members. After everyone gets acquainted with Hartmut's family, Frida invites them inside to eat. Maria tells Johanna she'll stay outside, so he simply kisses her cheek. She heads to the river where she repeatedly recites Hans' excerpt and writes a response in return. Then, she visits Hans' house and drops the letter through his window. When realization occurs, Maria sneaks inside his house to retrieve the letter, but Han catches her. With her guilt evident, Han takes the letter from her and reads Maria's response. He realizes that Maria consents to continue their affair. Therefore, he removes her scarf and tries to kiss her but notices the marks he's left on her neck. Maria senses his guilt, so she assures him that nobody knows about the relationship and she won't tell anyone about it. Han reminds her she has to promise it, and he leaves to grab a balm for her marks. When he's done applying the balm, Han wraps the letter in her scarf and returns it to her. Following her encounter with Han, Maria returns to the Brendels' residence, and Maria asks her where she's been. Maria lies, saying she was at the river and has forgotten the time. Maria perceives this as another manifestation of the girl's lousiness, so she sternly orders her to help her take the pitcher and cutlery to the table. During their lunch, Maria dissociates herself from the family while everyone is intrigued by Hartmut's new life in the West, especially his career as an engineer. When lunch is finished, the couple are in their room where Johannes tries to take Maria's photo while she's in bed. Maria protests, but she's completely absorbed in his element, so she has no choice but to relent. Once done, Maria resumes her attention to her book. However, her book conceals Hans' letter, and she eagerly reads it. Upon learning that he wants to pick her up tomorrow, Maria can't stop smiling. The next day, Maria helps feed the rabbits when Han suddenly appears and looks for her. Maria summons her and she immediately goes out to meet him. The adults notice that her attire is inappropriate for horseback riding, so they order her to change. A while later, Han helps Maria get settled with her horse and they leave. During their ride, Han teaches Maria how to ride a horse properly and she undeniably enjoys his company. Afterward, Han takes her to his house where he prepares coffee. Maria notices a book on the table, and Han shares it belongs to his late mother. Instead of delving into the topic, Maria stands up and seduces him, leading Han to make love to her aggressively. Once they're satisfied, Maria reads an excerpt from the book that tackles the sad reality of a human being. Out of nowhere, Han recounts about his mother's melancholic history. According to him, his mother used to be married, but her spouse ended his own life. Then, the Russians took her and used her for their pleasure. One day, she arrived in East Germany, particularly in their village, and a couple took her in. Despite her traumatic relationship with men, his mother agreed to marry the couple's surviving son from the war. With their marriage, she conceived Han even at the age of 35. In the middle of sharing, Han abruptly stands up and grabs a liquor to drown the pain the story has brought. Then, he continues to share that his mother became obsessed with reading during her pregnancy. Sadly, she also developed alcoholism and never recovered. Maria feels for him, so she extends her hand to support him, and Han quickly holds it. With her warmth, Han doesn't hold back and tightly hugs her center. Later that day in the couple's room, Johannes informs Maria that he'll be away for a few days as he'll visit an art university in Lipschitz. He asks Maria if he can go alone, and she gives him her blessing. With that, Johannes tries to make love to her, but Maria refuses his advances and hugs him instead. The next morning, Frida accompanies Hartmut and his family to West Germany. Now that most of Brendels are away, Maria quickly visits her new lover, but Han won't answer. Because of this, Maria longingly gazes at his house through their room's window. Johannes notices this and comforts Maria, thinking she feels sad due to his departure. The following day, Maria runs an errand for Maria by bringing me to Lindenworth, a pub owner. As she waits for him to finish, she discovers a drunk Henner inside the establishment, making her uncomfortable. She overhears him bad-mouthing his ex-wife for leaving him, making his life miserable. Just when he turns his head, he notices Maria and proceeds to berate her, telling everyone that someone like her will surely leave their town and never return. Moreover, he insultingly wonders what she wants with Johannes. Maria takes offense to that, so she abruptly leaves the pub. On her way home, Han lunges on her and pleads for her to stay with him. In compliance, Maria sneaks inside the Brendel store and steals a few goods that'll sustain her when she stays with Han. For the next few days, the pair spend time engaging in passionate lovemaking and reading books. Moreover, Han slowly breaks his walls as he nurses Maria back to her house when she catches a fever. On her last day, Maria informs him that she has to return to the Brendels. Han understands this but sadly reminds her he'll always be there for her. Upon arriving at the house, Maria is surprised when Alfred appears behind the doors. The man believes she stayed with her mother, so she asks her if she enjoys Han's company. Maria confirms as a pretext for hiding her secret rendezvous with Han. Moments later, Johannes arrives at their room and eagerly kisses his girlfriend. Maria tightly hugs him in return, eliciting concern from him. She quickly changes the topic and asks him about his travel. Johannes enthusiastically reveals that he'll pursue studying at Lipschitz. For his admission, he plans to photograph their neighbors and their houses since he believes such subjects are an artistic contrast to the changing world. After that, Johannes tries to make love to her, but Maria refuses, using her period as an excuse. At lunch, Their topic shifts to Henner since Siegfried plans to use his meadows for his bio certificate. Speaking of Han, Maria compliments his rugged good looks again, annoying Siegfried. He asks her if she likes him, and Maria shamelessly admits she does. This leads him to confront her for spending their money on magazines and makeup, emphasizing that all his hard work is wasted. Riled up, Maria reprimands him for invalidating her efforts on their farm. The next day, Henner visits the Brendel store, and Maria tends to his needs. Once Maria bags his order, he asks her if she likes raspberries. Maria confirms, so he requests her to add them to his purchase. However, he tells her that she can only eat them at his house. While at it, Hen tries to make a move on her, but she refuses for they're in the public. Henner expresses his longing for her, asking when she'll come back. Despite his words, Maria is unsure since she can't repeatedly use her mother's company as an alibi. Still, Hen persistently pleads with her to come with him. On Maria's birthday, Johannes carries a tray of food for her and sings her a birthday song. Then, he gives Maria a present that contains her portrait. Johannes comments that he loves her longing gaze since he hasn't seen that look from her anymore. Maria doesn't respond to his words and simply hugs him as an expression of gratitude. Later that day, Maria celebrates her birthday at her grandmother's house, but she doesn't stay for long as she heads to Han's house to make love to him. After the deed, Han invites her to go on a trip with him to the west, and she excitedly accepts. In the cafe, Maria requests that he order coffee and milk for her since she has to buy something outside. Now alone, Henner suffers from the patron's judging glances toward him. Not long after, the waitress approaches him and asks about his order. Throughout their exchange, Hen feels small as he's unfamiliar with how different the West is, especially with their terminologies on food. A few moments later, Maria finally returns, carrying West produce. However, she's confused as to why Han's already outside. Instead of clarifying, Hen hurriedly takes her home and reprimands her for making him wait. Back in Han's house, he tries to become intimate with Maria, but she refuses. When he insists they make love, Maria pushes him away and leaves. She goes home to the Brendels, and Marian excitedly hands her a gift. Upon opening it, she becomes emotional to see a pair of earrings. Marian explains that the earrings are supposed to be for her daughter, but she wasn't blessed with one. But when Johannes brought her home, she already considered Maria as family. This time, Maria can't stop her tears from flowing, so Marian comforts her. Afterward, she takes Lucas to give the couple time to bond. Finally alone, Johannes invites her to drink in their room and talk about their day. On their way upstairs, Johannes shares that he wants to photograph Henner's house as he finds it interesting. Suddenly, they get interrupted when Alfred hints that Maria has been in his house. This leads Maria to be defensive and hostile to Alfred. Since the situation becomes awkward, Johannes tells her to go upstairs. Regardless, Maria remains still and gives the man a piercing gaze, making him leave. The next day, Hen visits the Brendels, but as he goes to their store, he whispers that Maria should meet him at the river. At their agreed location, Hen breaks up with her and tells her not to come to his house anymore. Maria expresses her confusion about his decision, so he clarifies that their age gap hinders their relationship. Despite his reason, Maria refuses to break up and professes her love for him out of desperation. However, Hen's decision is final, so he pushes her away and tells her to leave him alone. As a result, Maria tries to barge into his house just to talk to him. Yet her efforts are in vain because Hen never appears. Therefore, she spends her day sulking, sparking Maria's concern. Johannes hypothesizes that Maria's mother's unemployment and father's remarriage might be the factors for her emotional distress. The following day, Maria travels to her grandmother's house to seek her mother's comfort. During her stay with Han, Maria becomes detached and prefers to lay in bed to mend her broken heart. One day, Han visits her room and informs her of Johannes' presence. Maria isn't interested in meeting him, so she orders her to tell him she's asleep. Since Maria never reveals the real reason for her heartbreak, Han thinks she's not on good terms with Johannes. As an encouragement, she says that everything will be fine and the pain she's feeling will eventually fade. The next day, Han returns from a job interview and reveals she was accepted. Therefore, she invites Maria to live with her in the city, and she accepts. After some time, Maria begins to recover from her heartbreak when Han suddenly visits her. He explains that the Brendels requested him to check on Maria since he's in the neighborhood. Moreover, he notifies Maria that Johannes misses her. Maria knows what lies beneath Han's words, so she quickly grabs her things. Moments later, Henner takes her to his house and admits he can't resist being away from her. Maria tells him that she almost died because he deserted her. Without a word, he approaches her and lovingly hugs her. The next day, Johannes visits Han's house on a mission to photograph his house. Han agrees but restricts him from entering his house, especially since he's hiding Maria in there. While Johannes takes some photos, Maria curiously checks on him. However, her impulsive behavior leads Johannes to capture her form. Nervously, Maria informs Han about it, earning his disapproval. A while later, Han returns to the room after sending Johannes home. Maria reveals that she doesn't want to lie to the Brendels anymore since she wants to live with him. Contrary to her perception, Han doesn't plan on letting her stay. He fears the locals will shun her if they pursue their relationship. Moreover, He doesn't want her to experience the same loneliness he's felt due to isolation. Maria doesn't listen to him. Instead, she asks him if he loves her and he confirms. Still, he believes it's not enough reason for them to live together. He adds that she might leave him one day, especially since she has her life ahead. Regardless of Han's persistent denial, Maria believes they can make it work. Silence envelops the room for the next few seconds, but Han suddenly speaks, telling her to think about it. Also, he reminds her that if she still wants to come over, she may come whenever she pleases. Upon hearing his words, Maria confirms her return, and they become intimate. After leaving Han's residence, Maria heads to Johannes' darkroom, surprising him. The boy happily greets his girlfriend, but she timidly reciprocates. Curious, Johannes asks her why she didn't inform him of her return, hoping he'll fetch her. Instead of answering, Maria talks about his work, causing him to show her the photos he's developed. While he's occupied, she tries to find Han's photos, but Johannes beats her to it. As he leaves through the photos, Johannes lands on Han's window and shares that it has a woman's silhouette. With that in mind, he believes Han forbids him from entering his house since he has company. That evening, Maria plans on admitting her affair with Han, but Johannes is busy in his darkroom. The following morning, Maria wakes up from the sirens, so she quickly gets up to check what's transpired. Upon arriving at the rail tracks near Han's house, she discovers that he's passed away after a train accidentally beheads him due to his drunkenness. Though shocked, Maria hurriedly goes to Han's house to retrieve some of his possessions. Then, she runs to her mother's house to seek her comfort again. Years later, Maria narrates that she's forgotten what happened after Henner's passing. However, she always thinks about Dostoevsky's book and quotes from it. She believes that she and Henner will see each other again one day. Once that happens, she's sure they'll tell each other everything. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.